You too.
Sorry. A very warm welcome to all our participants. It's been 9 years to the implementation of GST. While the GST registration is the first procedure and expected to be the simplest one, sometimes it becomes the most challenging task. Today, we professionals and frequently encounter departmental objections, delays, repeated queries, and issues relating to mainly to the address proof and the supporting documentation. Today's session is therefore very relevant as it focuses on these practical challenges and the best way to deal with them. We are privileged to have with us a speaker who is not only a past president of our association, but one of the most approachable and friendly personalities I have known. And I'm sure his practical insights and experience will greatly benefit all of us. With that, I would like to request our Honorary Joint Secretary, CA Mohit Cholera, to introduce the speaker for today.
Good evening, everyone. He is one of the speaker where I would like to not introduce from the introduction which is shared with me, but rather through my heart. So our speaker today, Sachin Gandhi sir, needs no introduction, but truly deserves one. I don't know whether his smile this smile he has got after marriage or he has it from before, but he has a very infectious smile. He is a go-to person for all our chambers he is associated with, whether it is an RRC event or any webinar series or any social gathering the chamber has. And we proudly call him our RRC Durandar. So you will find him in every GST office, any chamber event, and any social gatherings. He is everywhere and with his smile. And if you ever visit his office, you will never go back with an empty stomach. And if one fine day, if you get an opportunity to meet him in a restaurant, he'll probably suggest you the best dish in that restaurant. So please join in welcoming Sachin Gandhi bhai with his
Before that,
ever smiling face. And this was one of the introduction which I'm very proud to share today.
And then
Over to you, sir.
thank you so much, Mohit, for your kind and wonderful introduction. I think it is one of the best introduction I'll remind for my life. Thank you. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank my own chamber and my friend Reno, President.
Sachin
Bhai.
Yes.
Just before that, I would like to share a digital memento right now that if we probably plan to share with you, and we'll be sharing the physical one and we'll be couriering it to your office very soon. Just give me one.
Yes.
Yes. So, Sachin bhai, please accept this digital memento at this point in time.
Thank you so much, Reno. Thank you so much.
I thank you from everyone at MCDC for accepting our invitation in just 1 second. So I remember Sachin bhai was speaking on the same topic last week at our another association, and I immediately called Sachin bhai that Sachin bhai, I want you to speak at MCDC on the same topic, and he said, okay, yes, anything for MC. So thank you, Sachin bhai, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much, President sir.
Over to you, sir.
Sir, thank you. Just check, screen is visible, huh?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Now, before starting, I was just trying to say, first I would like to thank my own friend Rino, President of the Malad Chamber, for giving me this opportunity to share my views again on the same subject. But definitely, I think that even in the last week also there were many queries. So I have just prepared my presentation. So before starting, I just make sure that the presentation I've made is little bit illustrative. I'll definitely share the same presentation with the chamber, so it will be shared to everybody. So this is being a more on the practical side. So I'll just rush you through a quick presentation. Now, how to file applications in registration? What are the few tabs? Because what happens is, since this is a study circle, and I think many of the members would aware of all the tabs and everything, they would be aware. So I won't be wasting much time. I think this session we would try to have more interactive. Okay, what are the actual uh, difficulties members are facing, or any consultants are facing while filing a registration applications, and what are the precautions he has to ensure before filing a registration application. So I'll just start with the presentation. Basically, I've just divided my presentation into 3 to 4 chapters. Okay, it is what is the foundation for laying the GST registration. Then the second would be what are the documents which are required. Then third, I would think what are few practicals questions, what are the queries which are there. I've just drafted according to me from my side. So I will take up that also queries, and we'll also have a question answer session, or even if any queries are there, and if the this one association permits, we can have the in between also the queries we can take up, or if we want, okay, we can take all the question answer session in the last. So that's all depend upon all the members, and what are they can raise their hand, and they can definitely ask any query during the presentation. So basically the registration. So if you see the registration, whole chapter of registration under GST, it's been divided from section number 22 to section number 30. These are the 8 main sections which are governing the registration process under the GST Act. So what are the sections? Means what are the sections? Okay, the section number 22, it is persons who is liable for registration. Then 23 speaks about persons who are not liable for registration. And there are exemptions who are exempted from the registration tab. Then 24, section 24 speaks about compulsory registration in certain cases. Okay, there are few cases where you need to mandatory obtain the GST registration. Then section 25 speaks about what is the procedure for the registration. So my main topic for today would be covering the procedure for the registration. So all, no doubt the other are also correlated would be sometimes, but the today's main topic would be procedure for registration. Then 26 speaks about deemed registration. 27 speaks about casual tax payable person and non-residential tax payable person registration. Then again 28 would be amendment of registrations. Okay, when you are already having your number, then what if you want to do any amendment, how to do that amendment. So the 28 section 28 would be governing the section for amendment of registration. Then 29 will speak about cancellation and suspension of registration. And the last section under the registration tab is 38, which speaks about the revocations of cancellation. So basically, these are the governing sections. Section number 22 to section number 30. These are the 8 main governing sections of the whole registration process. Be your amendment, be your cancellation, be any amendment. So these are the main sections. These are the sections which are the governing the whole registration process. Similarly, there are rules from rule number 8 to say rule number 26. Rule number 8 to rule number 26 are the governing rules which says what are the precautions, what are the do's and don'ts from say officers angles, what is the responsibility of the taxpayer, what is the responsibility of a officer, okay, under what rule he need to issue any particular show cause notice, how to issue, what are the governing rules. So rule 8 to rule 26 speaks about the entire registration related rules which are laid down from this 26 rule number, from rule number 8 to rule number 26. I'll be just not taking step by step of each and every rule, but as you can just see in the screen, rule number 8 speak about application for registration, 9 will speak about the verification and approval, 9A, which is the new rule which is been there for grant of registration electronically. Then rule number 10 speaks about issues of registration certificate. Again, rule number 10A speaks about furnishing of bank account details. Then we speak about Aadhaar authentication. See, basically now if you see Aadhaar authentication is made mandatory. Either you have to do, if your mobile is thing, you can do from your own side, or you need to approach the GCS Suvidha Kendra and you have to get the Aadhaar verified. So for that also the rules have been prescribed, which speaks about rule 10B. Then rule number 11 speaks about special separate registration for multiple places. 12 speaks about registration for a TDS and TCS taxpayer. Rule 13 speaks about registration of non-residential taxpayer. What are the documents required for registering yourself? Then rule number 14 speaks about OIDR, separate online information data and travel services. Then 14A, this is the main rule which the latest amendment is there in the registration process, rule number 14A. So I'll also take in my presentation rule 14A, the deep analysis of rule 14A also will be sharing with you what are the options, who can opt for it, what are the rules to be followed, and what is the procedure to if you want to withdraw it. So I'll just also take in detail to the rule number 14A because this is a very important and amended rule. So one has to make very ensure before applying for this rule 14A, because on a lighter note, I have also informed to my GSTBM also rule 14A is a type of an exam, CA exam, where the entry is very easy, but exiting out of that would be very difficult. So rule number 14A, then speak about, then rule 15, it speaks about the extension via casual taxpayer and a non-residential taxpayer, casual non-residential taxpayer. Then rule 16 speaks about suo motu registration. Then 16 because of temporary identification number. So this 17 to all the what are the rules for if you are applying for amendment of registration, then cancellation. So these are all the rules. Well, I'm just not going into detail of much rule because we just want to ensure that we can have more practical problem being solved. So one just before applying for the registration, just go through under which category you are applying and what are the rules which have been prescribed and what are the governing sections. Now, as you know, who needs to register under GST? As everybody knows, for a goods, the threshold limit is 40 lakhs, and that 40 lakhs has been increased to notification number 10 of 2019. And for services, the threshold limit is 20 lakhs. Still, in a specialized category state, the minimum threshold for the goods is still 20 lakhs, and few categories of state, still the rules is 10 lakhs. Now, what do you mean by special category state? That is Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura with the reduce have been removed from 40 to say 20 lakhs. Now this limit of threshold limit is to be considered on the aggregate turnover basis. Now what do you mean by aggregate turnover basis? Aggregate is computed on the all India turnover based on your single PAN, and this is inclusive of your this one zero rated supply and your exempt supply. So everything is included. Suppose if I'm having a turnover in Maharashtra of say 20 lakh rupees, I'm having a turnover of in say Gujarat of 20 lakh rupees. So my overall turnover crosses 40 lakh rupees, then I need to take registration in both the states. So for goods it is 40 lakhs, for services it is 20 lakhs, and in a specified category state, still the liability to obtain mandatory registration is 20 lakhs. Then I told you that section 23, it speaks about the exempt category. Rina, do we need to take the question answers in middle or we can just have in the end?
No, that was by mistake.
No, that also, but even if there is any question of any raised hand, so we want to ensure we just...
We can make it interactive if you are comfortable.
Yeah, I'm very much comfortable. So we can definitely have interactive. If any have questions, we can just have a deliberation at that point only.
Perfect, yes.
Yeah. Then the section 23 speaks about the exempt category, who are the persons are exempt for taking obtaining the GST registration, and in one of the such categories, the agriculture, so they are exempt to obtain the GST registration. Now, as I told you, even there are few registration who are required to mandatory obtain a GST registration. So the governing section is section 24, and who are liable to take mandatory registration, any person who is dealing into interstate supply. Interstate means any if I'm a Bombay based and if I'm doing business with say Gujarat or outside Maharashtra state, that becomes an interstate supply. So even from a single rupee, if I'm doing a transaction, I need to apply mandatory for the GST registration process. Similarly, a casual taxpayer and a non-residential taxpayer has to compulsory obtain, if they want to do business in a particular state, they need to obtain a GST number. And any person who are liable to pay tax under RCM liability, then he has to obtain a mandatory GST registration number. And e-commerce operator for TDS and TCS, they need to obtain the mandatory GST number. So the section 24 governs about the person who are irrespective of the turnover limit, they have to obtain for a mandatory GST registration. Then the main is section 25, who speaks about what is the whole procedure of the GST registration. Okay, when your liability arises, if you are obtaining the number under an open category, suppose if I'm crossing a 40 lakhs turnover and if I'm not voluntarily registered, so on the moment of when my liability arises, if I've crossed the turnover of 40 lakhs on say 1st of June, then it is within 30 days I need to apply for a GST registration number, and after the necessary compliances and everything, a GST number will be issued to me. So there is a 30 days rule for obtaining a GST number, a casual tax payable number, and a non-resident tax payable number. They have to obtain the registration number 5 days before the 5 days prior to the business to be conducted, and that number shall be valid for 90 days. And after a specific application, it can be further extended to more 6 months can be further, but application is to be done. And third category comes a voluntary registration, irrespective of the turnover. A tax payable person can definitely apply for a registration of a GST number. Now, so coming to the subject proper, okay, it is the authorizing the whole registration process. It is a, you can say it is a decoding of the GST registration process. So now what are the essential documents which is required before applying for a GST number? A PAN number is a master document of any resident who is an Indian resident, and if he wants to opt for a GST number, then PAN will be a mandatory document. And for a non-resident taxpayer, in spite of PAN, they can apply on the basis of the foreign passport. So for the Indian resident, PAN is a master key, and for a foreign national, their foreign passport would be the key for applying for a GST number. Then second comes your proof of constitution. You're a proprietor, you're an LLP, you're a partnership, you're an limited company, you're a private limited company. So what are the, under which categories, what are the company you are? You just need to have that proof of document. Suppose if a private limited company or a limited, a memorandum and articles of association is there. Then for a partnership, it is a partnership deed. So proof of constitution will be required. Then from where you are doing a business, the business address proof, this is again a valid, very important document. From the place where you're going to run your business, you need to have that documents properly in place. And last is the authorization protocols. Okay, suppose if there is a proprietor and himself proprietor would be authorized person. And suppose if there is any private limited company or a partnership, then authority is to be given to a particular person. Okay, who would be taking? So proper authorization is required for a business to be run. So this is just a screenshot from the GST portal itself. Okay, what are the essential documents which is been required? You should have a valid PAN number. You should have an Indian phone number. You should have a valid email address ID, because Indian phone number and valid email address is very important, because if you are opting for an this one e-verification through EVC, then it will be compulsory through either on your email or on your mobile number, the OTP goes. So for e-verification, our Indian mobile number and valid email address is required. Then prescribed documents which are also there. As I told you, your article of association, memorandum, partnership deed is there. Then again, a document related to your place of business is there. An authorized signatory is required. And at least one person of your promoter, partner, or director, or trustee, the PAN number, he has to have a valid PAN number. And similarly, the PAN number should be validated through the Aadhaar number. So Aadhaar authentication is also required. And you should know your concerned GST state or jurisdiction detail. It should be known. Okay, suppose if you are applying for a number, okay, suppose under which category, under which jurisdiction you are coming, you should be known for your jurisdiction. Then the registration process will be basically divided into two parts. One is the part A, which is you speak about your identity details, and part B, which speaks about your business disclosure and all the details of your business is to be submitted in part B. So part A and part B. So this is how the part A looks. When you're applying for a voluntary registration. You have to just click on go to the registration tab and apply for a new registration. So this part A would be auto-populated. Here you just need to click new registration. Then here you have to select I am a taxable person. I want to obtain a number under a TDS category, under a TCS category, or as a GST practitioner, I want to register. So under which category you want to register, you need to select that head. Then you have to select the head under which state you want to obtain the GST number. Okay, on which state you want to have a GST number, it is to be selected. Then according to the state, then it will come under district. Suppose if you are selecting in Maharashtra, then it will ask for in Maharashtra where you want, in Mumbai, Nasik, Pune, or where. So that district is to be selected. And what is the legal name of the business? Then this should be as mentioned in pen here. It is just I have just taken a screenshot of a TAN number, but is the legal name should be the basis of your PAN number. Then I shall require your PAN number, your email address, and the last there would be mobile OTP. So again, the OTP mobile number is to be mentioned. So these are the documents these are the details which is required while filling up your part A. So after filling all the necessary details, you just need to submit the button. And after submitting, an OTP will be sent on your registered mobile number and registered email ID. So once the OTP is entered and you validate, then a temporary reference number, a TRN number will be generated. So that TRN number will be valid for 15 days. So before the 15 days, end of the 15 days, you should ensure that application is properly filled in and it is being submitted on the portal. So if the 15 days is left, then you need to again start from a scratch one, and that TRN number will be automatically deactivated after 15 days. So you have to just regenerate a new number. So once the temporary registration number are there, then once you enter your TRN number, you enter the EVC detail through your mobile OTP or say email, then this would be displayed. This is the whole registration details which you need to fill in. So this whole page you can term as an part B. Now what are you supposed to fill in the part B? It is business details, your promoter details, authorized signatory, authorized representative details there. If you want to authorize any representative, you need to mention that detail. Then you need to mention the principal place of business. If you are having additional place of business, you need to mention additional place of business. Goods and services, this speaks about your HSN detail and your SSC code details. Then the next step is state specific information. In this state specific information, you need to, if you are having your profession tax number, so PTEC number is to be mentioned. The next step is other authentication, and the last step it is verification. So once you filling all the necessary details is been filled up, and after a proper verification, and after verification, you just need to submit your application, and that submit of application, it will be again either through EVC, or it can be submit the application can be submitted through a digital signature. So the part A consists of the basic detail and part B consists of the or the more details. So as I informed earlier also, okay, we all would be knowing okay, by these are basic details which are there, but under this tab there are only 2-3 changes. So this is the tab under the registration when you are selecting your business detail. This is a new tab opting for a registration under 14A. So 14A means if you want to opt for a registration under 14A, so there are the categories who can opt under 14A. Suppose a person whose B2B turnover is not going, he is not going to pass the ITC of minimum, who can up to 2,50,000 in a month. If the liability is below 2,50,000 and if he is confident he is never going to cross that limit, then he can opt for registration under 14A. So this also I'll just take you in the detail in my later stats. Okay, what are the 14A benefits are there and what are the precautions to be taken. So this is the important. This is the just a change in the 14A. Rest all the details are just normal details are there. And under a state specific information, now what happened here, the consent name of the electricity board is been made mandatory. So now this name of the electricity board and your CA number, this two has been become mandatory. So you have to just ensure that while making an application, the electricity bill is going to be a very important document for the verification stage. Now here I'll just inform you this CA number it consists of 9 digit, but only where there is an BST in the Bombay there is a Brahman Electric Supply best supply is there. They are having only 8 digit and first digit they are having a star mark. So what happened in spite of star mark if you are not mentioning some applies as a 0, some applies as a 1 number. So there are chances you will be getting an error by the number which you have mentioned in electricity doesn't match it, but that's okay. That you just need to provide a justification. And in state specific information inform you if you are holding a PTEC, PTRC or any state excise number are there, you just need to fulfill the details. So after submitting all the necessary details, you need to submit the application. And the other is as I inform you, Aadhaar authentication is to be done. Aadhaar authentication, here again the name, what is the citizen, promoter or partner detail would be mentioned, who is the authorized signatory, designation, his email address and mobile number. This all would be captured from the database and you just need to submit your application. Now, after submitting your application, what would be
Sachin
the...
bhai.
Yes, sir.
So, after Aadhaar authentication, if the authentication is not completed properly,
Yes.
they usually call for that in-person verification
Yes,
also,
you have to
the
visit
biometric
you
thing.
have to visit the GST Suvidha Kendra.
So, what is the logic behind it? So,
See,
if the Aadhaar
technically,
authentication is not proper,
see what happened, na? Okay, if you're the DGGI, there is a list of who have identified the dealers or they have identified through PAN numbers who are classified as an risky dealers and who are classified as a normal dealers. So that list is already shared with all the officers. They have that list. Now, suppose if they feel, okay, by this is a risky dealer, or they have, see, we cannot call it as a risky dealer, but they have named it as a flag dealer. If that particular PAN number is flagged, now what happens? Okay, suppose I am a director in one of the company, and that director is already a default company. And if I am applying in my proprietor capacity, so since I am a director in a company where there is already a default going under GST, so my PAN number is automatically flagged. So if I am ensuring if I am making in my proprietor capacity, but since my PAN number is flagged in their system, they will, in spite of filing my other authentication, they will call me to the GST Suvidha Kendra. So there I just need to ensure, I just need to submit all my documents. I need to verify everything. And after that only, there would be, this one ARN would be generated. Now what happens, suppose you have applied for a, this one GST number, my application is submitted. And if I'm getting an ARN number, that means my application stage is completed. Once the ARN is generated, now where my, this one PAN number was flagged, so only after the successfully completion of my documents at GST Suvidha Kendra only, my ARN number will be generated. So until and unless ARN is not generated, that means the application is still under process, because once after getting your ARN number only, that officer will be there who will start processing your details in detail. So here
so
you
ARN is generated only after the biometric is completed, right?
yes, if your case is selected for your biometric verification. So only after your
Okay.
successfully verification, only ARN will be generated. And if you are not a flag customer, as per their database, if you are not a flag customer, then technically within minutes or within half an hour, you are getting your ARN number. But
Okay.
that after ARN number also one has to ensure that it will be only after a proper Aadhaar verification only. If your Aadhaar verification is not done, then again you have to compulsory go to the GST Suvidha Kendra, and after that only your ARN will be generated.
Okay.
So this is basically the verification process. Okay, once application is filed, then authority will review. If they are satisfied, I'll just take you to my next slide, which speaks about the whole flow chart. So this is the whole flow chart of an tax payable. What happens? Okay, once the applicant, he will fill in the part A, where I inform you what are the part A. Then after successfully completing the part A, a temporary reference number will be generated. This TRN number is valid for 15 days, and he can, up to this 15 days, he can retrieve any application and he keep filling his part B. So for this retrieval application and continuation, as I informed you, there should be an EVC will be either forwarded to our mobile number or through email ID. So after completing a file part B, and after proper Aadhaar authentication, an ARN will be generated. Here, as I inform you to the precedence query, this ARN number, if you're not a flagged customer, your PAN number is not flagged, the ARN will be auto-generated by the system. And if your ARN is flagged, then you have to visit, you will be getting a mail, you have to visit the GST Suvidha Kendra along with all the original documents, your Aadhaar card and everything. There they will take your biometric, there they will take your picture, and after that completion of the procedure at GSTR Suvidha Kendra only, your ARN will be generated. Now, once the ARN is generated, that application will go to a tax official. Now, then after once the application is received with the tax officer, he has to ensure, he has to take action within 3 days, 3 working days, he has to take action. If he has to raise any queries, he has to raise a query, and if he is satisfied, if everything is okay, and if he is satisfied with the application, he will approve it. And once the application is approved, then again a GST and temporary GST number and a temporary password will be forwarded to the registered email ID. And after that proper verification and application is to the taxpayer needs to just log in into GST portal, create his own user ID password, and his GST number will be activated. Now, suppose if the officer is not satisfied with the submission done, then what will do? He will raise. Now, once the query is raised, the taxpayer has to compulsorily respond within 7 working days. Now, suppose if within 7 working days, if he is not able to respond, a taxpayer is not able to respond 7 working days, then there will be the approval option will be automatically removed from the tax official's portal only. So if you are not responding to the notices received against registration within 7 days, then your application will compulsory be rejected, and you will be served and rejection order is being served. Once rejection order is served, then again an email ID and notification on your email and mobile, it will be made available to the taxpayer. Now, if the queries is been solved and if he is satisfied, then the officer will either approve it, and if he is not satisfied, then he will reject it. Now, here one has to ensure that if officers is rejecting it, then this application he has to give you a show cause notice. So he will be giving this the notice which is there. He will be giving the show cause notice why your application should not be rejected because of the following documents. So once the application is rejected, a rejection order is served, and again if the order is officer is approved, then again a email GST number and temporary email ID, and this will be forwarded to the applicant. So this is the whole process. Now here only the main crux many members are facing is because of the auto system of 3 working days. Now what happened? There are multiple applications are there on GST portal. So few times the officer generally doesn't have time to ensure each and every in smoothly. So just to have a gap, okay, to have a breathing space, they raise a queries. So basically, many a time they are raising a query that the documents are not visible, the documents are not readable, your few documents are there. So few of the queries are raised because to comply of these 3 working days. So just ensure that you are making an application with a proper form. Then this I'll not take. This was just what are the different types and different categories of the person who needs to apply. Okay, you can apply either for a regular dealer or a composition dealer. Then what is who is a composition and who is a regular dealer? So this is not the part. So I'll just skip this slide. Then as I told you, specialized registration and ISD number, e-commerce operator, TDS is there. That is also okay. Okay. Now, again, there would be once, as I told you, there are registration. One, a dealer taxpayer who opts for a registration either voluntarily or he opts for a registration if he has crossed the mandatory threshold limit. Now, second type of registration is what? Okay, when there is an investigation which has been taken place at the tax payable and the officer will himself issue a GST number to the taxpayer. So once the officer is allotting the GST number, that is known as the dealing with the suo motu registration. So who is there? A non-registration despite exceeding turnover. Intelligence from the third party, data mining from viewable or interstate supply. The officer finds that no, he has to take the number, then the GST number will be allotted by the officer. Now, if the tax payable is taxable person is not means in contact with the GST number, he can definitely file an appeal. Okay, this number I am not eligible, so he has a right to file an appeal. But there is also a category of person where mandatory registration has been given by the department. This is also multiple place business complexity is there. So this is also a normal case. I can in one state I can have a multiple place of business and all the multiple place of business should be there in my additional place of business are there. And at the same time, I also have a option to have separate GST number for my different kinds of business. So suppose if I am dealing a chemical, I can have a separate GST number for a chemical business. If I'm dealing in suppose say gold, then I can also have a separate GST number on the same base also. So there is a multiple option is also there. And okay, now I'll just take you to what are the practical issues, what are the practical issues and professional challenges which are there. So now there are many instances of your application will be rejected. Now what is the main reason? By address proof there is discrepancy, your promoter details are not matching, okay, the business description is not proper. What happens many a times people are at a general trading. So the officer asks, what do you mean by general trading? But there are various notices which are there, which is the common cause of rejection. Now, this is the main crux. If you are applying for a GST registration, please ensure you read the instruction number 3 dated 2025, dated 17 April 2025. This is a very important and crystal clear guidelines given by the CBIC. Okay, what are the do's and what are the don'ts? The instructions are very clear. Okay, what is the documents which you need to upload under which category of person? And if the application, if you are submitting it, and what are the additional information? Can officer ask for additional document? The answer is also mentioned clear cut. Answer would be no. So please, before filing in GST registration number applying, please go through this instruction number 3. It is very clear. And if you are following this instruction, ensure I can assure you that your number will be definitely granted to you. So now here I'll just quickly take you what are the documents which you need to have. Now, suppose if you have applying from your own premises, suppose I am a proprietor and I am only the owner of the same premises, then what document is required? I'll just require any one ownership proof. Now, what does ownership proof? It can be either property tax, or it can be electricity bill, or it can be a water bill. Document revision, as I told you, additional proof is no longer required, and any one valid proof is required if the premises is an owned. Now the second will come, they are rented premises. Now again in rented premises there would be two categories of there. Live-in license which is registered and live-in license which is not registered. So now here suppose if I am applying for a place of business in rented premises, I just need to ensure I should have rent agreement and plus I need to have one ownership proof. Now again the ownership proof, please there ownership proof is a common, it can be either property tax, it can be electric bill, it can be khata receipt, or it can be a water bill. So these electric documents are there which has been prescribed. What are the documents who can treat as an ownership? Then PAN, Aadhaar and photograph of the lessor will be required. Is required, and if it is an unregistered rented, if it is an unregistered agreement, then the officer has a right to ask for a documentation of the lessor. His PAN and Aadhaar is also can be asked as an additional document while applying your GST number. And if it is a registered license agreement, then officer cannot ask for a documentation of the lessor. Then if it is a consent premises, now what is there? Consent premises means if I am doing a business from a place and that is owned by my father or that is owned by my mother. So of that and they would are giving me consent. So if I just need to obtain a consent letter, and again the consent letter should be accompanied with the ID of the consenter, because consenter, suppose if I'm taking an consent from my mother, I should ensure there is a consent letter is there and my ID of my mother is also been accompanied with that application. And apart from this consent letter and ID proof, again I shall be requiring one ownership proof. As I told you, ownership proof means either an electric bill or a property tax or any of one document is mandatory required for the document. So here in consenter you require a consent letter, you require the ID of the consenter, and you require an additional ownership proof of the owner. Then comes your shared premises with agreement. Now, what do you mean by shared premises with agreement? The shared premises is again, we can say shared premises is say a place is we work, where what happens is we work is taking the whole place, and in the whole place there he is allotting a small places to different businessmen. So that would be a shared premises. And again with a shared premises also you just need to have main agreement. The owner between an owner agreement and WeWork agreement will be required. Then WeWork is entering an agreement with you is required. And again the original ownership proof is also required. So these are the documents which you need to ensure. I know there would be limitation because what happens is the limitations while applying the documents, there is a say some size restriction is there, okay, 50, 100 KB, 50 KB. So that is there, but you need to ensure that by these documents are there, because what happens since this is an online process, it is very difficult. Okay, by your application will go to which officer you doesn't know. So you just need to ensure okay, these are the documents are already attached with your application. Then here again, I told you shared premises is with agreement are there, and there is also shared premises without agreement. Now, one will say, what do you mean by shared premises without agreement? Now, here shared premises is without agreement. This is basically what happens. Okay, why I am storing a goods at an warehouse keeper, where I'm not going to have a long-term contract. I want to store goods only for 1 month. I just want to store the goods only for 2 months. So for that, I'll not have a in detail leave license agreement. So I'll just what we'll do. Okay, boy, I just want your go down for say 1 month. I want 1 month only for that. So for that premise, I just need to have a consent letter of the owner, and that consent letter will be accompanied with his ID. Then I'll require his ownership proof, and after that ownership proof, I just need to supply to the registration officer. Then again, SEZ units, partnership form, trust, and AOP, that is okay for SEZ units. Again, SEZ approval is sufficient is there, because if he is having an SEZ approval is there. So because when you are applying for SEZ, everything is being checked at the time of SEZ only. So SEZ approval is the document which is enough for applying for your GST number. Again, for partnership form, a partnership deed is there, which is also sufficient. And again, with partnership deed, you have to have your ownership documents and everything, which is there, which is this while default. Now here in this instruction, it is clear cut mentioned, okay, document not to be sought. Officer cannot ask for your Udyam number, or you can ask for your MSME number. So this is not at all required. It is very crystal clear when there is a, there you officer cannot ask for an additional document. Now, in case if here it is also in the advisory, it is clear cut mentioned. If officers wants to have additional document apart from the document mentioned in section number 3, then a special permission, either office superior, either from a deputy commissioner or a joint commissioner is required. After his uh, permission only, the officer can ask for an additional documentation. So this instruction number 3 of 2025 is very crystal clear for the registration process. Now here also, as I told you, okay, this is divided into few paras. Now after scrutiny of document, what the officer has to do. So this is instruction is also from a taxpayer angle, and this instruction is also from the officer's angle. Okay, after an successful application, now officer has to how to deal with that documentation. So this instruction of the scrutiny risk parameters, as I told you, risk cases is what, okay, they have an few flagged dealers. The PAN number has been flagged by the this one DGGI. They are having their source. They are the few risky dealers are there. Or these are the flagged dealers. For that additional, this is required. So if your case is there under a risky category, then your registration need to be completed within 30 days. It is mandatory. If any registration application is done within 30 days, they have to complete the whole registration process. If you are not under a registration category, then within 7 days, it is ensured that within 7 days you should get your GST registration. Then this is our again the queries, additional documents. Then what are the, then I'll again take you to the my later. I just prepared a chart. What are the forms? What do you do in my REG 3, REG 04, REG 05? I'll just take you also in detail. Okay, so now this is the, I just prepared a gist of advisory which has been there from 2023 to 2026. Prior to 23 also there are many advisories are there, but there were many on the clarificatory issues. But these are the chronological order. Geocoding functionality was enabled. What are the advisories which are raised from time to time? I just tried to correlate it. Then on 24th, then Rule 10A bank details. Now everybody is compulsory to ensure that while applying for a bank a GST number, after getting a GST number, he has to compulsory ensure the bank has been properly validated. Just then in 9th July, they have increased the upload rate. Initially, it was 100 KB and that was increased to 500 KB. So these are the various advisory which has been issued from time to time. I'll just share the my PowerPoint with the this one associate Mala Chamber, so they can just share with you for your ready reference. This is also okay. What is your category? What happens when you are transferring any business? So transfer is any business is through your amalgamation, the GST, the original amalgamation, demerger, or what will be the documents and what are the documents required at the time of your transfer of business? A change in constitution from proprietor to partnership or deed will be required. Then if you are having any merger, demerger for a listed company, then an NCLT order would be required. So these are the what are the additional documents which are required for applying for your GST number. Now the second leg of the topic was amendment and cancellation. So this is also I'll just take you to what do you mean by a core amendment and what do you mean by non-core amendment. If your core amendment, if there is a change in the legal name, principal place of business, or any additional or deletion of partners, directors. So if any such impacting the direct business, so that is called as a core amendment. Now again, a core amendment where you are applying for a core amendment, that application will compulsory require the interference of an officer. So that amendment is only approved after the approval of the respective tax officer. So for core amendment, this one officer permission approval is required, and for non-core amendment, it is a system generated which gets auto approved within 24 hours. Now, what do you mean by non-core amount? It's just to update your bank details, just to update the HSN code. If you're dealing in one HSN, and if you want to just change the HSN code, or if you want to add any HSN code, so that falls under the non-category, non-core amendment. And for any non-core amendment, no human interference required. The system will auto approve the same within 24 hours. Then the third is cancellation. The cancellation are again two types of cancellation. One is the voluntary cancellation if a taxpayer wants to cancel his number, and other is the department cancelling your GST number. So that is a voluntary cancellation. And if the number is cancelled, you have again two option. Either you can file an appeal or you can apply for a revocation. This is just a general slide. What are the practitioners? What are the checklists you just need to ensure before applying for a GST number? Now, what if you are applying for a late? There is a huge penalty. Suppose if you even if there is any changes in your say amendment, if there is changes in a core amendment. Suppose if I am having additional place of business, and for if any additional place of business is to be added, one needs to ensure the time limit is within 15 days from the date you have to ensure it is been uploaded on the GST portal. Now, suppose if you are not uploading the document within 15 days, there are chances that the officer might issue a so-called notice, and he might ask you why penalty should not be levied. So there is a general penalty. There are few instances also where officers levied 25 general penalty, 25,000 under CGST, 25,000 under SGST, and few officers are very great. They'll charge you 25,000 for CGST, 25,000 for SGST, and 50,000 for IGST for not complying to the procedure. So for procedural lapse also, it might prove very costly. So please ensure you just need to be a tax compliant. Now, before I take my issues, can we take the issues under the chat boxes first?
Yes, Sachin. I'll just go through the chat box. A few of the questions I have only asked.
Yeah.
So in cases where the proper officer insists on documents that are not prescribed in the rules, what should be the correct professional approach? I think the instruction has clarified it.
Yeah, even if you see the instruction number 3 speaks about the additional documents which he cannot ask for, and at the same time, on very next, I think instruction number 4 are issued. If any officer is asking for any additional document, then you have a right to directly approach to his superintendent, his superior body. Either you can apply to a deputy commissioner or joint commissioner. This is I have made application and officer is asking for a document which is not prescribed in the advisory. So even you can refer to instruction number 4 of 2025. In that also it has been clearly cut mentioned if you are not satisfied with the officer, you can definitely make a complaint of the officer who is asking for an additional details.
Okay. And recently they've also started physical verification before granting the registration, physical verification of the premise.
Yes.
So at that point in time, whenever a proper officer or an inspector approaches us for a physical verification, what are the precautions that a taxpayer or maybe a consultant should advise to their client that they should have in place?
See, if you ask me as per my personal this one, okay, the verification is only been done under a flag dealer. So that flag dealer who is been flagged, red flag dealer has been there, whose PAN number has been red flag. Only in that case is few verification is done. Or there are instances of verification which is done. Okay, what happens? Okay, we have an instance. Okay, we take a number in the name of our wife. who is into wife. Then we are having a place of business where we are doing into chemical trading. We are doing into chemical trading, and we are having a place of business as our own residence, and you're not applying for any additional place. See, basically, these are all the small things. Before applying, first you need to ensure that by the application, no doubt, okay, we file the application. But there are instances because what happened okay, due to this all Hawala bills or say NGTP dealers, because of 5%, everybody needs to be suffered. So just to ensure that there is no harm to an honest taxpayer, because what happens if any dealer who take the number without for a forge means, and if he's passing the ITC, then at the end of the day, the sufferer will be honest taxpayer. No, suppose if an officer comes and visits at your place, so you should ensure that you should have you should check your client that you should have your all the documents which you have submitted to the at the time of portal. If he is coming to visit, you should ensure that there he's been verified. Now here again there would be two types of verification which is done. One is prior to the issue of GST number, if they verify, they'll not ask for more details. But there are also instances when they come after issuance of your GST number. So if there is a visit prior, then only the document which you have submitted at the time of registration should be there. A proper board should be there outside your premises ke bhai so and so place is there ke what we say ke XYZ trading company what is there, so the proper board should be displayed. See, because since you are not there yet got the GST number, so that is not required. If after GST number is already been allotted to you, so if it is post verification, then you should as per rule it is mandatory ke the GST number should be placed at a prominent location where any person entering your premises he should come to know that you're a registered person. So prior to registration, only the basic document should be there. And if there is visit which is post registration, though he's not coming for an assessment purpose, but it is always advisable when he's coming post issuance of GST number, he can just show his how the documents are maintained. He can ask for your sales bill, he can ask for your purchase bill, he can ask for your GST returns and everything. He can definitely ask. So if possible, you can just have a documents kept ready. If it is post verification, all your GST returns filed and that all basic sales registers, purchase bill, it should be maintained at the place of business.
Okay. Uh, uh, Ashwin Tanna sir has a question maybe that all new registration applications first goes to the central jurisdiction, and according to the status of application, some go to the central and other goes to the state. So is there any criteria that a particular
No, according to
application
me, no,
to a
according
center?
to me, it's no, it's not on the basis of the criteria, but only if you ask me if your application is being going to the central, then definitely the application will first go to the Churchgate. You have to just Churchgate office be there, and after if the application is going to the central jurisdiction, that Churchgate officer, Churchgate jurisdiction will decide that this application is to be forwarded to which officer. But as far as state is concerned, I don't think so that there is any criteria while making an application. By first will go to center and center will decide state or central. I mean, according to me, no. The answer is no to that question, because in the state it will go to his proper officer, but in center definitely it will go only first to the Churchgate, and from Churchgate only that application would be transferred to the respective jurisdiction.
Does it still go to the Churchgate
Yes.
Central Registration Authorities?
Yes, yes, yes. But only
I
the
think
application which goes directly to the center goes to the center jurisdiction. But which application which directly goes to the state, I don't think so. That also goes to the central jurisdiction.
But there were some discussions going on that from the Central Registration Authority at Churchgate, it will now again flow into the uh, jurisdiction officer at the central level,
No, but as
like
of
it goes to the state tax officer.
yeah, but as of
It
yesterday,
goes to
it is for sure. Okay, as of now, even yesterday's application, if your office has been allotted to the center, and it will go first to the Churchgate, and from Churchgate only it will be given to the necessary central jurisdiction officer. As on yesterday, I
okay.
am not sure
Okay.
later.
With respect to amendment, Sachin bhai,
Yeah.
if there is some core field amendment pending approval. We filed the application for core field amendment, but it is yet pending for approval. Can
Yeah.
other compliances continue normally if it is a application for a change of address, probably?
See, if your application under core amendment is pending for approval, you cannot apply for any other core amendment till time being. You can
But
apply
then
for
other
non-core.
compliances can continue normally.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. Your normal return will be you can apply, you can file your normal return, you can file your normal, what we say, other you want to your bank, you can definitely go. There is no harm in it.
okay.
Only your core amendment cannot be a new core amendment can be done until and until the previous one is approved.
And for cancellation, is there
Hmm.
any time limit given to the proper officer to approve the cancellation application? Because probably most of us might be having certain cases where the cancellation application is pending for approval from months now.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. Now I think in a later, if I'm not wrong, in section 13, they have just made few corrections. Okay, now if anybody is applying for a cancellation, now they have given the powers to verify. Now officer are asking for your I mean technically they are doing indirectly an assessment, then only they are cancelling your number. Initially the number was getting easily cancelled, but there are few instances, I think as per law within 30 days, at least he should act on application. Either he has to issue a show cause or he has to definitely act. I think within 30 days
I
he
have
needs
a
to comply.
personal application done for my client wherein I have received a show cause notice after 6 months. And in that show cause notice, he wants to verify everything,
Yes,
like
yes.
give your ITC register, give your liability register. So, do they have those
Yes,
powers to
yes,
verify
yes,
everything?
yes, yes,
But
yes,
after
yes.
6 months.
See, the time, I'm not sure about the time limit, but the powers has been given before cancellation to verification of all the returns filed. The powers are given. In section I said they have brought the necessary changes. That is for sure. They'll definitely
Okay.
ask for the additional details if before cancelling. They'll ensure that by all if any tax is been left to be paid or anything, definitely they can ask for it.
Okay. We have a query from Santosh Kala, sir. When we are applying for registration of an OPC, that is a one-person company, they ask for details of second director also. So, can they ask for that? I don't think they should be asking
No,
for.
one person company, so they should not ask. I think if you are applying for a OPC, I think under tab I just not seen a one person company tab is there. But I think even if you are having a private limited and if you are only applying for one director, the application is going.
Correct.
Even if I just given details only one director, the application is going. I don't think so for specifically. I have not tried for a one person company, but for normal private limited with one director, the application has been successfully submitted. There is no, I have not faced any other. If anybody has faced, we can definitely go through it.
Okay. Uh, Anil Kumar sir has a question. Despite the
Hmm.
clear mandate of CBIC instruction number 3 that you just
Ah,
explained,
ah.
find that any single document is suffice, but the officers issue form GST REG 03 demanding additional documents, example, index 2 copies, historical of sale agreements, and notarized affidavits. How to handle such a question
See,
from the
here, now as I told you, okay, definitely they are going to ask for additional detail. Now there are two possibilities. See, if your client are strong enough, then definitely you can approach these higher officers. Okay, but these details are not required. Okay, why you are asking for these additional documents? As I told you, then suppose if you can first approach your officer, you can ask it. Suppose with this additional document, have you taken the approval of your senior as per this instruction? Have you taken if you have taken this approval, then please show me the approval of the additional document which you are asking from me. And if he is not able to give you, you can definitely approach the higher up. And other
but
is
is
suppose, but other as I told you, Rina, okay, basically, if the documents are very clear at very first stage, then definite and few notices they are definitely issuing without seeing documents because to maintain the time limit of 3 days. So if they are not
Correct.
taking the action in 3 days, that office the application goes under the auto mode and the GST number are issued. So just to sometimes see there, I'm not telling you that should become an precedent, but as of now, the things are happening. Okay, just to follow that 3 days time limit to either issue any clarification or issue the number, just to maintain that gap. Few times the officers are just going without going through the application. They are telling about the document standard. They just give you one type. Okay, the documents are not visible, and they just give you a notice. So what happens? Okay, once any clarificatory notice is issued, the 3 days gets converted to 30 days.
30 days. So Bhavin Bhai also has a question. In case of a registration of a reseller whose place of business and place of residence is the same, is a NOC from society mandatory?
As per GST law, no. But now what happens? Suppose as per BMC Act, if as per BMC rules, suppose if you are doing a business from your place of business, they insist there is a change of user. But that has nothing to do with say what we
GST
say
officer.
for GST officer. But they are asking by give me society NOC, but definitely it is as per law it is not required because what happens?
Because then it is binding on the authorities of the society also, like the chairman and secretary also, that that person will do a proper business from this premise, right?
This, what will happen? First of all, if you are a society, you cannot give a notice for doing a business from a residential premises. So none
Okay,
of your office bearer or none of the society will give such NOC to do a business from a
correct.
because your place is been registered as a residential use only. It cannot be used for commercial use. Now there are also instances there are questions from few service providers. Okay, sir, if I'm doing a business from my own house, I'm a service provider. Say an example of a chartered accountant. So no doubt a chartered accountant can do a business from his place of residence. But if you go very by strict rule, then if he's doing from a place of residence, if he's doing business, services, rendering services, then he should not have any employee. Suppose if he's having employee, then technically he cannot do the business from his place of residence. So there is a gap, but basically for a professional and all, they are not insisting more because this question many times come when you're opting for a business of say any chemical trading, any gold trading, the place of business and place of residency are same. Because if you're doing into chemical trading, then definitely that application should be accompanied by an what we say additional place of business. Because where are you going to store the goods?
So, but I am not even Bhavin Bhai's question specifically mentions that this is for registration of a reseller. I'm not a
Hmm.
stockist. I'm not stocking. I've purchased from A and I'm selling it to
Hmm.
B. That's it.
Hmm.
I am not taking delivery of the goods. The e-way bill also is in compliance A to B.
Correct.
So that case, if I want a registration, do I have
No,
to
no,
mandate?
no, no. Then society
Uh,
NOC is not at all required. Even in the guideline, it is clear that society, I mean, there is no mention of any society documentation because it would be either a consented or it would be a leave license agreement.
okay, okay. Uh, Dilip Parekh sir also had a same question, which I already asked for the time limit to pass the cancellation order.
Uh,
Dilip Vora sir has a question. Individual received rent of 18 lakh rupees in 25-26 and 6 lakh as arrears of 24-25. Whether he's liable for registration.
Now, technically, suppose if you have raised the bill in 24-25 only, because what happens when as per the this one time of supply, you need to raise a bill for once within 30 days from the completion of the services. So suppose my rent for the month of April, I need to raise a bill in the month of 25. Now suppose if you have not raised the bill in the 24-25, then there are chances
Hmm.
as per law you are crossing the limit in the 25-26. So there are chances you need to apply for GST number. But if you are shown
Okay.
already in 24-25 6 lakh rent receivable, then 18 lakhs and 6 lakh is two separate, then definitely there will be no need for your GST number.
Okay. Okay. And I think Rakesh Gulati has answered Santosh sir's query for OPC registration to select the category
Under other constitution.
others under constitution. Perfect. So I think most of the queries in the chat box have been resolved. I think we can proceed with the issues or the case studies that you have
The
prepared, which are
basics, I'll just take you the, after this, I'll just take you the, these issues are very simple. I think nothing much to there. Okay, by GST sitting fee paid to directors for services rendered. So these are very general issue. I'll just take few time and I'll just take you to the 14A issue, which is very uh, hot cake in nowadays. Now I'll
correct.
just
So
take
I
you.
had a question related to that, but
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
covering the 14 issue, yes.
yeah. So I think Ashwin Tanna sir has raised the hand.
Can we unmute him if you allow,
Yes,
Sachin
yes,
bhai?
yes, sir.
Ashwin sir, you can unmute and ask your query.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
In a cancellation, post-cancellation registration, now it is internal circular from the department that even the place of visit to be compulsorily visit.
Okay.
Before cancellation, they will visit the place of business.
Yeah, it is there. Post-cancellation registration.
Okay.
It is an internal circular. I came yesterday only. He said, no,
Okay.
sir, I have to visit the place. This is an internal circular.
Correct.
These are
After
just
the
amendment I am
cancellation.
telling you what is happening in the internal circular.
Yes, sir. Definitely. So this is been
Thank you,
issued
sir.
by a state.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Sachin bhai.
Yeah. So basically now I'll just quickly take you before 14A. Okay, we as a professional we know okay, what are the say, but sometimes if it comes to the law, okay, some will say, okay, I will receive some REG 05, I will receive RE 06. So I just try to compile this table. Okay, what are the various forms which is been there. So what do you mean by REG1? It is an application for registration. REG2, it is the ARN number which we are getting. It is known as an REG2. Then REG3 is when they are after making application document which is been asked for additional document which is that will be under REG3. Then REG4 will speak about the reply to your REG3. So when we are submitting our reply to the show cause notices at the time of registration, that is known as REG4. Now, once the REG4 is there, then there would be either order for rejection of registration, which will be there in REG05, and if it is acceptance, then it will issue on the certificate in REG06. Then for an REG7 stands for the application for registration of TDS. Then again REG8 is for order cancelling the TDS TCS registration. Then again 910 is for a non-residential OIDR provider. So these are the various just forms which I have just tried to compile for the ready reference for all our professionals. Okay. Sorry. I think Mr. Rajesh has some raised the head.
Yes, sir. I'll ask him to unmute. Rajesh ji, you can unmute and ask.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I am from Kerala, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
Rajesh, sir.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
Okay. Sir, if one associate has died and his son wish to continue the business,
Yeah.
what are the procedure and what kind of documents
So
we need to?
technically it would be takeover of business. Father's business which has been takeover by the son. Technically, you are trying to say.
Okay.
Correct. So first of all,
Yes.
you just need to have a takeover agreement.
Okay.
You need to ensure that you're having a takeover agreement, and that takeover should be, say, it should be for whole of the business is been taken over from say father to the son. So takeover agreement would be required. So once after when you are applying for a new registration, So for that, instead of selecting voluntary, you just need to opt. I'm applying for under the takeover category. And while cancelling the number of the father, here they will ask for the reason for cancellation. There you have to just mention it. Okay, the reason for cancellation is because of the taking over of business from my business being taken over by my son. So since the father's number would be a separate GST number, and the number which is been taken for the son after takeover business, that would be two separate GST number would be there. So a takeover agreement is required apart from all the basic documents. Once the takeover agreement is done, and you have to just to apply for the son's number, and you have to apply for the cancellation of your father's number is to be applied for cancellation.
Okay. So the son has another business and he has taken a registration earlier.
So he can
In that-
definitely continue in the same number, but for that, so when the father would be applying for a cancellation, at that time he has to just mention it reason for cancellation due to takeover by business. And when you are putting the takeover by business, if the system will ask you for which business, if the business is already running into business, you have an option okay, by this business has been taken over by so and so GST number.
Okay. That's right. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Sachin, you can continue.
Yeah. So now I've just prepared a gist of many questions are going around the Rule 14A. Okay, whether it is a simplified GST registration or whether it is whether one should apply or one should not apply under the category of under 14A. So here I just like to just analyze all the rules, rule 14A with all the sub rules. I just tried to analyze it. Now, first of all, this rule is only applicable to a person who is not passing an ITC of rupees say 2,50,000 in a particular month. Now, suppose if I take a conditions, okay, by if my turnover, if I am into an 18% category and around 13,90,000 odd amount, if I'm crossing that limit, so if any liability is not exceeding 2,50,000, that person should only apply for the Rule 14A registration. Now, please, Rule 14A is definitely the chances were there when you apply for a 14A registration. There are instances where within hours the person has received the GST number. No doubt, this is a very welcome move for a very small category of the taxpayer whose business is going to be in a particular range of turnover only. For small dealers, this is definitely there because if any businessman initially if he thinks okay, my business is low, but in future I'm going to have a good business I'm targeting a good focus business, then my personal suggestion is he should not apply for 14A registration. He should go for normal registration only. Now, 14A 1 speaks about the who is entitled to take the number under 14A number under the 14A category. Now 14A2 is there. Okay, if you are applying for this one fast tag category, then other authentication is mandatory. So if you are not having your other authentication, if you are not having any other verification is not possible, then you cannot apply under this category. Then 14A3 speaks about restriction on multiple registration. Means if a person who has already obtained registration under 14A in a state, he cannot apply for a same registration in the same state. Technically, suppose you, as I told you, for a single PAN, I can have multiple GST number. But if I am having a GST number under 14A, I cannot have separate GST number under the same state. So this is clarified in Rule 14A3. Then 14A4 speaks about grant of registration in maximum 3 days. You will be getting your registration number. Now comes here the catch. 14A5. Okay, 14A5 speaks about the rule. What is the procedure for withdrawal of the there, and once it is withdrawn, what would be the consequences? So 14A5 speaks about the withdrawal from the 14A. So you have to just file the form in GST RAD 32. You to make an application, and if the application officer is satisfied, he will approve it, and if he's not satisfied, he will reject it. Now I'll again take you further to what are the do's and don'ts. Now, if I am applying for a 14A, then what are the conditions when I can withdraw? If I have taken the number, if I am withdrawing before 1st April 2026, then minimum 3 returns should have been filed. And if I am applying after 1st April 2026, then at least one tax period return has to be filed under this category. Barabar? And the next category is despite of if I'm fulfilling the minimum criteria is there, but I need to ensure that my all returns are filed before the date of filing my withdrawal application. If any one of the pending returns are there, I cannot opt to withdraw from the scheme. So all my returns should be filed before filing for the withdrawal. Then there should not be any cancellation proceedings pending. So what will happen? I'll also withdraw and also apply for cancellation proceeding. It cannot be done. There should not be any cancellation procedure, which is I have already applied it, so it cannot be there. Then 14A6 speaks about if there is amendment in registration. Amendment in registration means if there is any change in principal place, if there is any change in authorized signatory, then it should be done before my application is filed. Now what happens? Suppose if I want to change my place of business, now what happens? I'll just withdraw my application, and after withdrawing, then I'll immediately change the principal place of business, and again it will result in you flagging customer because you have just violated the 14A6. So if there is any changes in the registration detail, if any amendment is there, then first you need to get that amendment done, and then only you need to apply for the withdrawal from this application. Then 14A7, it speaks about the GSTN to subject to withdrawal application, do other authentication, biometric verification, document verification, and photograph capture based on the risk parameters and data analytics. So 14A speaks about even if you are apply for withdrawal, if you are applying for a withdrawal, then officer will again might ask you to please come to the GST Suvidha Kendra, get your biometric done, get your documents verified, have a photo being captured, and after that only he will analyze whether to approve your application or either not to approve application. And 14A and 14.9 speaks about the acknowledgement and processing of your withdrawal application. Now 14.11. See, this is also very important. Now what will be the effective date of withdrawal? Now suppose if I am applying on 1st of today is 25th of June. If I am applying for cancellation on 26th of June, my application is been approved by the officer on say 1st of July. Then I can be out of the scheme from 1st August. So this is a very, 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 we can say a draconian provision. Okay, suppose it provides that a withdrawal becomes only effective only from the first day of the succeeding month in which the order allowing withdrawal is issued. So suppose if I have already done a business, if I already crossed the threshold limit of that 2,50,000, then definitely I would be in a scoop because the system will not allow me to withdraw my application. The second drawback would be, suppose if I already entered into turnover and I'm not in position to pass on the credit also, then again the whom I've sold the goods, that would be again a problem. So one has to ensure, suppose if you are having any business in hand and if you are forecasting the business kit is going to come in next month or that, you need to plan the withdrawal application well in advance. So it is from the first day of the succeeding month in which the order is allowed. As I told you, if I am applying for 25th June, it is not, and I am not sure that the officer will approve the same by 29th June. Suppose in any cases my June application is been approved in July, then I'll be out of this scheme only from 1st August. And again for the month of June, I would be under 14A. For the July also, I would be under 14A, and from August, I'll be out of this scheme. And Rule 14A, it speaks about restriction of retrospective revision. So what this rule is restricting it is, suppose if I've done a turnover, whatever. So after if I'm withdrawing from the said scheme, I cannot amend my earlier bills which is already been raised, which are the below threshold limit. So suppose if I raised a bill, suppose say 100 rupees and 18 rupees was my GST. I have paid that 18 rupees. I have withdrawn my application, but my original bill was not 18 rupees when it was 2,50,000 rupees. So system will not allow me to change my retrospective revision. So it is also ensured that any restriction on the retrospective revision is also been there. So if any member of any consultant who is advising to file, he has to ensure that dealer will never cross the limit, because if he's crossing that limit, then getting out, according to me, it's not difficult, but it is a time consuming process. So this was main. I just need to draw this attention regarding the 14A registration. So now here there are also few queries which I just there can officer. Now I've just come across my personal. I've come across one of the instances. Okay, if I'm applying for a amendment in core amendment, can officer ask me for my principal place of business verification? So this is the, I've just came across 2, 3 consultant who have just received a notice. Okay, he has applied for additional place of business under core amendment field, and he has got the notices. Okay, why your place of business documents are not proper, you are requested to resubmit the place of principal place of document. So can officer ask for such additional documents? So I really doubt if my application is not for a particular change in principal place of business, he cannot ask. But there are instances where officer are asking for your application for which you have not done also. So
Yes,
there
yes,
I
they
think,
are asking.
yeah. So there are even few again in the chat box. We'll just take up
So I
that.
think we have one question from Zankana. In society, committee members are changed, hence need to amend the authorized signatory, but officer is not accepting the application, rejecting with remark that documents provided are not satisfactory. We are submitting the board resolution, authority letter, and basic KYC of the authorized person. Still, they are asking for some other documents. So
We are submitting board resolution. I think these are documents that suffice, because this one you can, I think we can just meet the officer, because once you are receiving a show cause notice, you can just go and approach the officer about what additional document does he require. Because I think if there is any society, even if you say, okay, suppose if even director, if you are changing the director, then I think basic director, his form in for private limited, I think there is form 32 or that which is there. Where is resigning and new director is being appointed. I think that is the additional document which we submit. And in instances, the application has been approved by the officer, but there are changes notice amend authorized signature officer rejecting the remark that the documents. Now, I think you just need to see what are the documents which we are there, because I think board resolution is, I think managing committee resolution is enough, and the now KYC of the new, these are enough. New office bearers are more than enough for this one amendment.
but then I think they need to also check whether the board resolution and the authority letter is in a prescribed format or not.
But I think
That
there is no such prescribed format.
there's no prescribed format, but at times they do ask to mention certain things.
Yeah, okay, we are withdraw, means we are resigning from the post. They are asking
Correct.
for sometimes, okay, by the who are already there, they insist for their resignation.
Their resignation letter also.
Yes.
So maybe meeting the officer and getting the correct answer from him is required. We've got a question from Miraj Makhecha. Can we obtain registration in another state with Rule 14A? Say they have a registration under 14A rule in Gujarat and they want to apply in Maharashtra under the Rule 14A itself. So is it possible?
Technically, there as of now the 14A, as I told you, that it's barred in the same state. I think in other state definitely you can have it. There should not be any bar. But because what will happen if you are having a GST number in other state, from that you would be transferring the credit of 250 from that particular GST number. Because see, basically, if you see the condition. Okay, restriction 14A speaks about the person who has already obtained registration for in a state or union territory cannot obtain another registration under the same rule in that state or union territory. So in their rules, it is mentioned in that state, means in the same state. They have not mentioned that he cannot apply for registration in any another state.
So multiple states should be allowed.
According to the 14A, there is no such restriction.
Okay, okay. So I think the queries from the chat box have been taken up. Just 1 minute, if anyone has any query and wants to raise a hand and directly ask the question, we can take that up. A couple of questions, if there are any, or else we move to the closure. So I think probably all the questions are taken up, and whatever you have explained is clear to everyone. So I take this moment to thank Sachin Bhai on behalf of MCTC and on my personal behalf as well for such an excellent and practical session. Sachin Bhai, the way you connected the sections, rules, notifications, circulars with real life issues, it was truly commendable, and the exhaustive presentation reflected the immense effort that you have put into this subject and your command over GST. I'm sure every participant today is going to go back and take away at least one practical thing or one practical solution with them that will help them in their day-to-day practice. A big thank you to all the participants also for joining us today and making this session interactive as well. And again, once again, a lot of thanks from Malad Chamber and my personal behalf to Sachin Gandhi sir for taking this session. A small announcement is that we have another study circle meeting on 3rd of July, Friday. It would be on filing the first TDS returns of the tax year 26-27. That is for under the new Income Tax Act. We'll be filing our first TDS returns in the month of July for the quarter 1. So we've arranged a study circle meeting for that, wherein we are expecting the utilities to be released in the first week of July, and the session would be taken by CA Ravi Soni. And so thank you once again to everyone. Let's continue to connect, collaborate, and contribute towards the education. And have a wonderful evening to everyone. Thank you, Sachin Bhai.
And I
And
would like to thank the Malad Chamber for giving me this opportunity, and special thanks to acknowledge to Rinoy for helping me in preparing this PowerPoint presentation. No. Thank you so much, and definitely thanks a lot to the Malad Chamber for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, and thank you to all the participants for bearing with me. Thank you.
thank you, Sachin Bhai.